I'm a bad mother, and that's why I always celebrate New Year's alone. I'm 79 years old, and it's my own fault that my children forgot about me. I raised them to be strong and independent. Those who don't depend on anyone, not even me. Now they have their own lives. And in my house, there is only silence and memories. And every year, when everyone celebrates, I think, when did I become superfluous? Today, I will tell you what I regret and what I wish I knew at 20.
What you are hearing is the words of a woman who told me her story in person. She shared what is usually kept quiet, her life, her decisions, and the moments she now considers mistakes. She didn't make excuses. She just wanted someone to hear and understand what choices that seemed right could lead to. She started from the very beginning. With the man she married when she was young. They started a family, had children, and built a normal life. She said she didn't think about happiness or balance back then. She thought about responsibility. How to support her family, how to avoid instability, how to give her children what she herself lacked as a child. She worked hard from the first years of her marriage. She often stayed late, took on extra responsibilities, and accepted workloads that others refused. She believed she was doing it for her family. That money, stability, and confidence in the future are more important than dinners together, conversations, and simple presence at home. She said that between work and family, she almost always chose work. Not because she didn't love her husband or children, but because she was convinced that it would be better for everyone. She believed that her fatigue was the price for the security of her family. That someday, later, she would be able to make up for lost time. The family perceived this differently. At first, her husband supported her. He said that she was strong, that she was doing the right thing. The children got used to the fact that their mother was often at work. That she was always busy. That her love was not manifested in words and hugs, but in the fact that everything was there at home. She said that at that time it seemed to her that this was how it should be. She didn't see the problem in the fact that they rarely spoke for real. In the fact that the evenings were spent separately. In the fact that she came home tired and silent. She thought it was temporary. She was valued at work. Her colleagues respected her. Her superiors trusted her with difficult tasks. She felt needed. And this further solidified her choice. When it came to deciding where to be, at work or at home, she chose work again and again, convincing herself that she was doing it for the family. Only over time did she begin to notice small things. How the children stopped sharing their thoughts. How the house became quieter. How her husband talked less about himself. But she pushed these thoughts away. Because she had a clear plan in her head, now, work, then, life. She didn't yet know that this later might never come. She said that the real turning point in their lives began when her husband's health deteriorated dramatically. At first it seemed like fatigue. Then there were constant checkups, doctors, tests. In the end, the doctors said that due to heart problems, he could no longer work as he used to. He had to retire early. For her, this was yet another confirmation that she was doing everything right. Financial responsibility now fell almost entirely on her. She took on more shifts, more hours, more responsibilities. She convinced herself that this was not the time for weakness. That the family needed stability. That it was important for her husband not to worry about money. She said that she hardly noticed how the atmosphere in the house changed. Her husband began to spend more time alone with himself. He got tired quickly, often kept quiet. She came home late and exhausted. Their conversations became shorter, simpler, mostly about business. Not about fears, not about experiences, but about everyday life. She admitted that she considered herself strong then. She thought that she was supporting her husband by not showing fatigue and anxiety. That her cold composure was a help. She rarely asked how he really felt. It seemed to her that he understood everything anyway. The children saw their mother even less often during this period. She increasingly explained to them that now was a difficult time, that they needed to be patient. She taught them to be independent, not to complain and not to create unnecessary problems. She believed that this made them stronger. She said that it was then that she began to make what she now calls her bad right decisions. She missed important moments because she was at work. She postponed family conversations because she was tired. She chose practicality over warmth because she believed that warmth could be returned later. Her colleagues supported her. Friends said that she was a good girl and that she was pulling herself together. And these words further strengthened her confidence that she was moving in the right direction. She did not feel anxious because everyone around her was praising her. She said that she did not understand one thing at that time. While she was saving her family with money and stability, she was losing it from the inside. Slowly, without noise and without scandals. And this process was already difficult to stop. When she talked about her children, her voice changed. Not because she wanted to cause regret, but because this is where she now sees the greatest consequence of her decisions. She said that she raised them the way she thought was right, without whining, without unnecessary conversations, with an emphasis on discipline, responsibility, and independence. She often repeated to them that no one gives anything in life for free, that you need to study, work, and not depend on others. She wanted them to be strong, so that they could cope with anything. And it seemed to her that she was doing everything right. She was not a strict mother. She was just busy. She rarely sat with them just like that. She rarely talked without a reason. Her love was manifested in caring, in providing, in control. She believed that this was enough. That closeness would come with time. The children quickly learned not to interfere. They did their homework themselves. They solved their own problems. They planned their own lives. And she was proud of that. She looked at them and thought that she had raised strong people. But over the years, she began to notice that a distance was appearing between them. The children shared their experiences less often. They talked about facts, not feelings. They didn't call just like that. And she explained this to herself by saying that they were growing up. She said that at that time she didn't see a problem in the fact that children get used to being on their own. On the contrary, she considered it a sign of success. She thought, I taught them to live. I gave them what they needed. She didn't notice that along with independence, they were learning to live without her. When her husband was sick, the children didn't always know what to say. They helped, but kept their distance. They were there physically, but not emotionally. And it seemed normal. That was the way it was in this family. She said that today she sees it differently. She understands that she taught her children to be strong, but she did not teach them to be close. She taught them to cope independently, but she did not teach them to stop for their loved ones. And at the time it seemed right. This is what became the foundation on which her present later grew. She said her husband died when she was in her early 60s. Heart. The doctors said her body simply couldn't take it. The illness dragged on for years, but she still wasn't ready for the end. Not for death, but for what came after. After the funeral, life seemed to stop. There were no tantrums or breakdowns. There was silence. The kind that couldn't be filled with work or chores. She returned home and saw it empty for the first time. Not physically, emotionally. She said she realized then, she had lost not only her husband, but also the person who still held the family together. The children arrived. They helped with the formalities. They were there. But not for long. They had their own chores, their own families, their own jobs. She didn't blame them. She knew, that's how she raised them. She herself taught them not to stop, not to linger, not to live in the past. After her husband's death, work no longer saved her. She could stay up late, but there was nowhere to go. She could be busy, but no one was waiting. And it was then that she allowed herself to ask the question she had always put off before, what had I done with my life? She remembered the years when her husband was homesick and she was at work. She remembered the evenings they could have spent together. The conversations they could have started. The moments they couldn't miss. She didn't blame herself then. But now those thoughts came back again and again. She said that it was after his death that she began to see her decisions differently. What had once seemed like responsibility now seemed like escape. What she had thought of as care now seemed like distance. She realized that so many times she had chosen convenience over family, covering it up with the right words. And the hardest part was realizing that it was no longer possible to fix it. Her husband was gone. The children had gotten used to living without her. And she was left with thoughts about how things could have been if she had made just a few different choices back then. It was from that moment that her regret stopped being abstract. It became concrete. And with each passing year, it became more tangible. She said that the regret didn't get weaker over the years. It got clearer. She began to notice how her choices had shaped her current life. Her children called in frequently, briefly, to the point. They weren't cold. They just lived the way she had taught them, no stopping, no unnecessary talking, no need to turn back. The holidays were the hardest for her. Especially New Year's. It used to be a time when everyone would get together. When the house was full of people. Now every New Year's looked the same. The children were either at work or busy with their own lives. Someone would call, someone would text. But no one would come. She said that she had tried for a long time not to think about it. She had convinced herself that everyone was like that. That it was normal. But over time she realized that this was not an accident. This was the result. The result of years of showing that work was more important than talking, that work was more important than intimacy, that family could wait. She didn't blame her children. She told me this clearly. They became what she raised them to be. It's not their fault that they live their lives. It's her fault that she didn't stop and show them that family is not only a responsibility, but also a presence. It's on these New Year's Eve nights that she thinks most about the past. About those years when something could still be changed. When her husband was alive. When her children still wanted to be there. She said that if she had known then what she knows now, she would have lived differently. Not perfectly, but closer. And that's why she decided to tell this story. Not to cause regret, but so that someone else would hear it before it was too late. After that, she asked permission to say a few words from herself.
I just realized that the right decisions can destroy a family just as much as the wrong ones. I thought I was providing for my loved ones, but in reality, I was just absent. I taught my children to be strong, but I forgot to teach them to be there for them. If I could go back, I would choose home more often than work. I would talk more, listen more carefully, and not put family off until later. Now I know the time you don't spend with your loved ones never comes back.